The Legacy Pro. Long story short, it's a super fun rocket of a paddle to play with an interesting take on control. The real question with a rocket is, do I know enough of what I'm doing to even control it? Let's find out. Special thanks to the sponsor of this video, my mom. This paddle was a Christmas gift, and I'm not exactly rolling in cash right now, so thank you for enabling this pickleball obsession that I'm cultivating. Thermoforming. So hot right now. It's the manufacturing technique used to reinforce and add power to several of the latest generation of raw carbon fiber paddles. What it really means practically is that you can have really bad hits way outside the sweet spot, and it still feels kinda nice. Also, you can have a 16mm thick paddle that is super cushy and still an absolute frickin' rocket. The thing is, for a paddle that has so much effortless power, so much hellacious spin, and such a forgiving feel, am I even good enough to use it all? Maybe. The best way I can describe this paddle is like a razor-sharp, double-edged sword. If my form is good, I'm focused and I'm dialed in, then I'm crushing it, blasting drives, sending over authoritative fast dinks, and forcing the other team to deal with the absolute nuisance that is that serve. If I'm off my game, pop-up city. I'm serving into the net and I'm launching balls like 2 courts over. But I can't stop myself. It's like the One Ring, or nukes. Once you have the power, it's hard to not think about using it.
But Nick, just get better. Don't be such a banger. Practice resets.
I know I need to practice my short game and my resets, but what I'm trying to say with this paddle is that the floor for entry might be a little higher than other paddles. So, I feel the same way about the Legacy Pro that I do about a lot of the high tier power paddles, which is that early career pickleball players see them, they're tempted by the power, tempted by the accessibility of it, and see someone who's a little better than them hitting absolute bangers, but they can't do that yet, and that's okay. People end up handicapping themselves by giving themselves a much more difficult tool experience than if they were playing with a little more of a control-oriented paddle, especially starting out to intermediate. And I'm definitely in that category of people who saw the power and was like, I need it. But, it is what it is, and I still think it's a good paddle. I'm kind of waffling in this review, I know, but I do think it's good. I do really enjoy playing with it, but I do question sometimes if it is the best choice for me in terms of not only increasing my strong suits in the game, but also not being so one-sided that it doesn't hurt my weaker parts of my game, like my resets and my things and stuff. Anyway, back to the rest of what I was doing. The Legacy Pro has so much power and such a low margin of error when trying to access just the right amount of it. Small, typically recoverable mistakes that I often make get converted into massive errors. I'm the middle-aged man who got a souped-up sports car, whipping it around curvy roads, trying to impress my friends, only to total it because it's really too much car for somebody with a very mediocre amount of skill to handle. Does that make the paddle bad? No, it frickin' rocks! But it makes my games and my development far more difficult than it might be otherwise. But I am still getting better. So in summary, I'll say 2 things. It's a killer paddle. Seriously, check it out if you can. But really only consider switching to it if you consider yourself a high intermediate to advanced player. Below that, I just don't know if it's the right call. I just feel like to not have the paddle working against you sometimes, you need to have really good, really consistent form. And I know you could say that about a lot of paddles, but it's way more prevalent with this one. Secondly, I want to come back to this paddle in a few months and give it a second, harder look once I've played a few more events, drilled even more, and just generally improved. I'm playing a lot of pickleball, and I think by then I'll have some more definitive things to say about my opinion on the paddle. I lied. I have a third thing to say. People seem split on whether or not all black paddles with fairly minimal design are cool or kind of lame. I personally don't mind the blank canvas that an all black paddle represents, as I'll overgrip and tape the edges of all my paddles anyway. So that's it. That's the review. Thanks to all the people I played against to get this footage, and to all my partners who bared with me through the good games and the bad ones. And the really bad ones. I've got some more stuff in the works, namely my thoughts on Oso balls and the new RCF Bison pickleball paddles. I'm gonna try to pepper in these longer form reviews kind of when I can, but it really depends on my schedule and kind of what I have. If you're a paddle company and you're watching this, send me stuff and I'll talk about it. If you're like a hat company or something, I'd really like to talk about it, but you know, I hope that you enjoyed this, and keep it weird.